So I used to be big into debate. Growing up, you would hear from school and, I don't know, just adults that debate was some kind of productive, responsible, helpful thing to do. We're pursuing the truth. We're trying to get closer. Every debate is you chiseling closer to the diamondy core that is the truth. But then I turned like 17 and I realized that was all just silly. When I was 17, that was during the 2016 election cycle. And, watching those debates back then and then kind of getting out into the world and talking to real life people, I realized very quickly that actually nobody cares about your argument. Nobody wants to hear it. They will sit there and they'll go back and forth with you a little bit, but I can count on approximately 0 fingers the amount of times I heard anybody change their mind about anything based on debate. Now, I'm not saying debate is utterly useless. There are people that have changed their mind on things. I'm being a little hyperbolic when I say nobody wants to hear your argument. I want to hear your argument. But for the most part, out and about at the bar, at the Thanksgiving dinner table with your family, at the park, talking to some old boomer, most people aren't going to change their mind. They're not open to it. A lot of times, the attitude shift, the perspective change, the whatever you want to call it, people changing their mind, that's more of a deeper internal transformation that comes with major life events. And it's normally not the result of meeting someone at the bar or someone at the park. Most people go through life, again, not all, but most people, you can usually just look at them and tell. Most people go through life and they pretend they want to debate, but really they're just looking for any kind of feeling, I think. I think people just want to feel something. So they want to go get into arguments about like what to do about South Africa or what to do about trans people. And really, they're not giving you a fair shake. They're just wasting your time. They're wasting your time so they can feel anger or they can feel superiority or moral absolution. And you can normally just point these people out. I'll give you 2 archetypes of people that you just might as well not talk to, or you could talk to them. They're still people, but these are 2 types of people that are not going to change their mind no matter what you say. And that is the Mike Love looking boomer. They have the classic boomer goatee. Maybe they wear a captain hat around. They drive a Corvette, maybe even a C1 Corvette if they're on the wealthier side of the spectrum. And then on the other hand, you have the blue-haired, fat, polyamorous septum ring. They, them. They're not going to change their mind. But both of these types of people always want to talk to you about it. They always present themselves as being open for discussion. And it's like, well, debate me about it. But they don't really care. It just keeps going. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you, this isn't the case for everybody, but this is the case often enough. It's usually just... what's the word? It's usually like bad faith arguments. A lot of these people have subscribed, whether they know it or not, to, not to sound like Jordan Peterson, they've subscribed to this kind of postmodern way of viewing things, just deconstructing things into the infinite, and there is no real core answer. And again, a lot of this is subconscious, but what you'll find is these people will debate constantly over semantics and small details, but they'll never get to an answer, or they'll always find a way to deconstruct your answer, and then until you have to go to work. that's what they'll do. You'll never get to the bottom of it, and that's the point. And most of these people are kind of, I would say they're innocuous. They're not really doing anything. But when you get to the higher strata of society, the higher levels of power, when you get into elected official territory, what they're really doing is they are they're taking all the wind out of your sails. They're taking all the steam from your engine by getting you to run circles. And you're thinking in your head, oh, they'll eventually see it if I just explain it well enough. But they know what you're trying to say. They just don't really give a shit. They're just trying to get the point. The whole point is what they want. That's all that matters to them, what they want and how do they get that. And a big part of how these people get what they want is just by wasting your time, making sure you're stuck in an endless, self-inflicted, litigious argument phase while they do whatever they want. And then whenever these people pass legislation or ordinances that are just utterly stupid, they make you debate. You go to your city council meeting, you go to whatever forum there is to debate the topic, and they've already gotten what they want, and now they're going to use that, like I said, kind of deconstructive argument style to make sure that you can never overturn it. And this is so common. Again, I'm not ascribing ill will and malice to everybody that does this. I think it's common enough that people have just picked up on it. But 99% of the public debates you're going to get into, that's what it's going to be. So what I have to say to you is probably what every Call of Duty Halo gaming channel has said forever, but now you're hearing it from me. Just quit explaining yourself. Who cares? Like, they don't care what you have to say, so why are you wasting so much air saying it? And I know that's rich for me, getting like 24 views, but hey, maybe this will help 24 of you. Don't explain yourself if you detect that somebody either won't see it or can't see it. Stop it. Like, since when in history does anyone owe anyone else an explanation? That is the product of polite society. That is the product of civility and statesmanship, and that has gone out the window. So just go with your gut. You don't always need to break down things to some scientific level. So, for example, when people are talking about broader social issues like trans stuff and hormone and whatnot, and human rights and all that, there's a lot of good in that basket, but there's a lot of just bad that's meant to beat you over the head. And you got to go with your gut. And whenever people say, hey, I don't really like that very much, that seems like it's wrong because it's never been acceptable in human history, they'll tell you like, oh, we need, like, studies have shown that this is actually good for you. And studies have shown that actually the opposite of what your gut feeling is true. So don't get stuck in that retarded argument. Like, don't get stuck there, because you don't need scientific evidence to prove that poop is smelly. Okay? You don't need scientific evidence and peer-reviewed studies to know that a triangle is not a good shape for a car tire. Like, you're allowed to observe and infer. And the only people that aren't doing that are the ones that are arguing against you for malicious ends. You know what I'm saying? These are the only people that are just making shit up and shoving it down all of our throats, and then they yank the ladder up and say, well, like, prove scientifically why you shouldn't give a 4-year-old hormones that will that will change the course of their biology forever. Prove why that's bad. But they just made that up. You know what I'm saying? They literally just made that up. And that's just the only example I can think of. Not to mess with them. That's like, I never even meet any of those people. Those people don't bother me at all. But they're just the most, they're always in the news, right? So don't feel the need to explain yourself. Don't feel the need to prove your answer. And you're allowed to just go with your gut. And you're allowed to not listen to what they have to say. Because they're not listening to what you have to say. But they'll let you talk all day. They'll let you waste your breath. They'll take hours and hours out of your lives fighting you about things that they were never even open to changing. So keep that in mind moving forward. There are people out there that are willing to debate. And I'm not saying that it's bad to talk to people. I'm not saying that it's bad to talk to people across the aisle from you, but just know going into these conversations, for your own sanity, most of these people are not willing to change their mind. And don't be incredulous, don't be flabbergasted, dumbstruck when they don't change their minds. If you go into this with the right attitude, like you're playing a game of Call of Duty or Halo, and it's just a game and no hard feelings, GG, then by all means, you should go talk to people. Go talk to people with nose rings. Go talk to the boomers with the captain hats and the Corvettes. But just don't drive yourself crazy. So, take care. I don't know if this helps anybody, but just fun to talk into a mic. So, have a good evening, morning, afternoon, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.